Before we can begin to break the chains of our past, the first thing we need to understand is that it is all an inner journey. Our whole life, up until now, and from this point on, is how we have created it to be. We might not like the idea that we've created all the heartbreak and negative experiences in our life, but the brutal truth is that we have, albeit subconsciously. The subconscious is formed of lots of faulty wiring, and unless we unravel and rewire them, then the work we do on our past relationships will keep coming back to haunt us. It's all very well doing a meditation with the intention of cutting the cords, but if we're still very much attached to old belief systems and behaviour patterns, then it doesn't really hit the spot. To explain how we create our reality, look at it like this. Two people can be in exactly the same situation, but both perceive it in completely different ways. The outer world, for both of them, is exactly the same. The same thing is happening right in front of them, but it is their inner worlds that differentiate how they experience it. This is where really tapping into and practicing taking an inward perspective is a great place to start. We need to be able to filter our thoughts as and when they come into our consciousness, so that then they don't slip into the external reality and mess things up. This isn't the easiest thing to master, but with time it becomes a second nature. It really does take a little bit of practice, and meditation can help you. We need to start asking questions about ourselves. Instead of running away with our thoughts, letting them run wild, we need to address them as soon as we can. We've all got a chatterbox that goes on in the background, nattering away to herself, "You're not good enough, nobody loves you." One of the first books that I read that really helped shift my perspective and look at my thoughts as something that was external and outward was Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And one of the tools that I used in that was really powerful for me was the use of post-it notes. So I wrote loads of post-it notes. They were beautiful, positive affirmations for me. They had things like "The world loves Talia," "All my relationships are harmonious," and "You are enough," and "I am my own best friend." So what I did is I had these little bright coloured post-it notes everywhere. I had them posted all around my house. I had one on every single mirror. I had them on kitchen cupboards, inside kitchen cupboards. I had it in my diary. I even had it in my car on the wheel. I had these little bright coloured post-it notes everywhere, and it was just impossible to ignore them. Every time I came across one, I would read it to myself inside my head. Sometimes outside my head, I'd do it out loud. And I would just keep repeating it over and over and over again. "The world loves Talia, the world loves Talia, the world loves Talia, the world loves Talia." So to begin with, I could easily slip back into my old chatterbox patterns, and then what would happen is I'd come across a new post-it note that's got something else on it, like, "You are enough," and then it would literally snap me out of the negative one that I'd readopted, and it was just, it was basically reprogramming my chatterbox, and it was a really, really powerful tool. The more I practiced creating new positive self-talk, the more I became aware of the negative self-talk that had been running away and literally running my life. So once I began to separate myself from the thoughts, I then began to analyse them. Why do I keep telling myself I'm not good enough? Who or where did I learn this thing from? Where has it come from? The inner journey is a journey of unbecoming everything that you think you are. Peeling back the layers and coming back to the very essence of who we really are at the core, and that is divine, unconditional love. So with understanding the power of internal dialogue, you can then begin to understand how everything in our reality can be a reflection of our inner perspective, even if we don't quite know or are aware of it. If we've attracted lots of partners who we felt didn't treat us how we feel we should have been treated, then this is actually a mirror of our own internal world and how we might actually be treating ourselves. If we go around blaming everybody else, all our arsehole past partners for all this, heartbreak and stuff that's gone in our mind, what we're actually doing is we are giving power away to them, because we can't control them. We can't control their behaviour and how they treat us. But what we can do is we can analyse and we can take power and control over how we perceive it. So one of the first things that we might want to consider is, well, if he's treating me badly, why am I still here? Why do I think I deserve it? Instead of sitting there going, you need to do this, you need to do that, don't do that, stop cheating on me, stop it, that's all very outward. It's very out of our control. We can't control it. So it's really taking it back to the essence of, inner ownership of who we are. This can be difficult when our bodies and our fantasies actually think that we are in love with this person. So some good affirmations for someone who might currently be in a situation where with a person who they still feel quite attached to might be, it's not real, it's all a fantasy, I don't love you, it's my body that loves you. So again, use your intuition and your own inner guidance and what's going on in your reality to put post-it notes that make sense for you and your world, that are going to help you. If we keep blaming other people, then this is a state of poor me and victim mentality, which is a very low frequency. We can really easily get swept away with it. Everybody has played the victim card. Everybody. I've done it so many times. Oh, poor me. Because it's a way of getting attention. Subconsciously, it is love. Attention is love. So often when we're feeling sorry for ourselves, it's because we want this outward external attention, and that's why we do it. We're seeking love in the form of something that is external, and really we need to be able to cultivate this inner quality, which is why inner observation is one of the first things that we need to begin to do before we can then start analysing and looking and piecing together the outward reality that we've created for ourselves, before we can then cut those cords. So we first need to take an inward perspective to then be able to analyse and make sense of the outward reality that we've created for ourselves. One of the most powerful books that I have read is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz, which I highly, highly recommend you either read it or listen to it. It literally became my mission at one point to share it with as many people as I could. I uploaded it to Dropbox and I was putting it all over my Facebook when I was using Facebook. I was printing off CDs, I was giving it to everyone. It was a really powerful book for me. I learned a lot from it, and I didn't just listen to it the once, I kept listening to it over and over again, because each chapter sort of put across a different point, and I wanted to really make sure that I grasped the point of each of them. Whereas if you just listen to it all from the beginning to end, there's lots of points that you need to sort of piece together. So I would go over one by one. And what I've just been explaining reminds me in The Mastery Love of this beautiful story about a guy who didn't believe in love. And what happened is he met this woman, and she was saying the same thing. She was saying, I don't believe in love. I think she just split up with her husband. And then they became friends, and they began sharing each other's company, and they just got on absolutely beautiful, because there was no expectations from one another. They were both like, yeah, we don't believe in love, let's be friends, and everything was beautiful. And then one day what happened was the man hit a moment, and he was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is love. We both get on, everything's nice, maybe this is love. And what he did is he went to this woman and he plucked a star from the sky and he merged it with his heart. And then when he met up with her, he was like so excited to tell her this news that he gave her his heart in her hands, and with that moment she held it and she dropped it and it smashed into a million pieces. So the moral of this story is that we cannot give the responsibility of our happiness in the hands of another, because they will never know what is inside our heads. They will never know what makes us happy, and they could never fulfill this love. Our own happiness is in our hands. Society's been very much warped in its understanding of we have to meet a partner, we're going to fall in love, we're going to live happily ever after. Again, I blame Cinderella and Snow White and all this bullshit fairy tales that we have literally been fed from childhood, that we have to, this makes us complete. You know, we've got a partner and everything's lovely, and that is not the case at all, because then what we do is we grow up and we are thinking, when I've got somebody else, they are going to make me happy. Being with this person is going to make me happy. The first point of call is we need to learn to make ourselves happy. We need to learn what makes us happy. And then if the other person knows how to make themselves happy, then you've got two people who are both independently happy and not depending on the other person for their love and happiness. And then they will come together with their own individual love, and they can then create, you know, even big, more beautiful love, because they both are love. So this is why coming back to an inward perspective and really looking at yourself and what makes you happy and what makes you sad is a really good place to start. And what I would like to explain is that your indicator of any negative thoughts that are going on in your head, which we may not hear or understand because they're sort of chatting away in the background, is how you feel. So if in any moment you feel negative, stop and think, what am I thinking? And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, whatever thinking is going on isn't a very positive one, and you can then change it and make it a positive one. So if I've got something going on in the background going, oh, he's not going to call me, he doesn't love me, oh, what have I done, this, that and the other, and I'm feeling bad, and I'm like, hang on a minute. And then it's your opportunity to change it. Everything's fine, he'll get back to me when he wants to, it's no drama, just chill out. Self-talk is very important, guys, it really is. And I think this is why the post-it notes were a really cool tool for me. Oh, I'm a poet and I did know it. Because they would bring my attention to positive things, because it was just chattering or running around in the background. It was driving me mad. So your homework this week is to put lots of post-it notes all around your home. I want you to listen to the Mastery of Love chapter that I'm going to send you about the man who didn't believe in love. Keep doing your cord cutting rituals that I sent you in my previous message, and maybe wearing your Ioni eggs if that's something that you were open to. And if you have a bleed, I also want you to consider taking advantage of its huge healing potential. Next to this, you might also like to keep a journal. Write about your day, your thoughts and your feelings. A journal was a massive, massive part of my journey. It really, really was. And what was beautiful about it is that you may find that you get to the bottom of what you've written, you know, your outpouring of your thoughts and your emotions. And what I found is that when I got to the bottom of it, I was counselling myself. So it would begin with, oh, I'm so pathetic, oh, this, that and the other, oh, I hate my life. And then I'd start going, but it's okay, you know, you've got this, you're strong. And I realise that it was actually my higher self that was coming through me. So where I was just shutting off and I was writing, then before I knew it, I was just calling this higher guidance through the creativity of honest, genuine expression, which for me was putting pen to paper. So I would recommend journaling, and if you want to send it over to me as well, please do. I can't promise that I can read everybody's and reply to everybody with the energy that I would love to do, but for you it might be quite nice to just sort of put it out there, because then it's sending your honest expression of yourself out into the world, and then it's kind of outing you. So yeah, please feel free to do that if that's something that you feel that you would like to do. Writing really was a huge help for me, and I've continued to write. So any of you guys that have been keeping on tabs of my my Instagram will see that, yeah, it's just been a progression of my self-expression, and that is what I tend to do. Another thing that I would like to share with you guys is that This whole journey of creating this program for you guys is actually a journey for me, myself as well. I'm observing my strengths and my weaknesses, and what I feel I've worked out is that one of my gifts is that I respond to the energy of somebody who is there in front of me. And I found it a little bit difficult talking to camera and getting it out because there's no mirror to reflect the information that I need to be getting out there. So if any of you are open for perhaps like a live, like maybe if one of you want to talk to me about a situation that might be going on with you, then I can reflect information and wisdom and guidance that is specifically for you, which other people then might also be able to pluck little pieces out of. So this is just a suggestion. If you guys are up for this, then we could do like a Q&A, or if a couple of you come in, well, yeah, it's a Q&A, then that is something that we can maybe get in together as well. So I hope that's all helped, and if you've got any more questions or ideas that we can use to support one another, then please be sure to let me know. I love you and thank you so much for your commitment to this Venus Retrograde course, and I look forward to seeing you next week. I love you.